Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Now, Friday today, I'm going to try and do two videos. There'll be a video up later on how to solve the challenge I set you in the Sudoku video earlier this week. Very, very interesting and difficult puzzle. So that will be up later. But now I'm going to try and solve a crossword. So let's have a look at the Times crossword. Friday is often the most difficult day of the week in the UK Times. So let's see if that's true. So, feverish patient scoffing cold trifle. Well, this clue is actually quite easy to understand in terms of I can see immediately where the definition in this is. The word feverish is very often used as an anagram indicator. So I look at patient, that's 7 letters. I need one more letter to make 8 letters. Well, an anagram of patient scoffing, as in eating a C for cold, would give me 8 letters. And you may say, well, why is C cold? Well, the answer can normally be found if we think about it in everyday life. And if you look at a hot and cold tap, you'd often see an H or a C on the tap, and that's where this abbreviation comes from. Remember, all abbreviations in cryptic crosswords, certainly in the Times cryptic crossword at least, have to be supported by the dictionary. And I think the Times uses Chambers Dictionary. So if you really want to know which abbreviations are valid, buy yourself Chambers Dictionary, look up the letters, and that will help you. So we need an anagram of patient around a C that means trifle. It's going to be pittance, I think. That gives us a few starting letters. Let's try and use them. Express contempt over first couple of errors and depart. Well, okay, I think here we're looking for a 6-letter word that means depart. We need a 4-letter word beginning with P that means express contempt. And that's either going to be around the outside or on top of the first couple of letters, the first 2 letters of the word errors. So I think the answer, it's not easy this, because the actual, to express contempt is to pish, P-I-S-H. That goes around the E and the R and gives perish, which means depart. That's pretty difficult. Wines, I'm immediately thinking of reds, or rosés, I suppose, could be rosés as well. Administered by man in debt, reversed capitalist's suspicion. Yeah, okay, this is reds. It's reds under the bed. Let's think about why that's right. So reds are obviously wine. Administered by, if you are administered by something, you're under it. Man in debt reversed. Well, a man is just he, H-E, you can see it there. You would describe a man as being he. In debt reversed, well, that's just a reversal of the word debt. So you're putting a he in a reversal of the word debt to give you, bizarrely enough, the words the bed. Reds under the bed, capitalist suspicion. Let's try this one. We've got a T and a D. Smallest. Okay, I've got an idea already. So, smallest, dull oddly, with sprucest clothing. Okay, so dull oddly, the way I view that, I read that, is the odd letters of the word dull. Now that, I admit, is probably not the natural way of reading it, but any cryptic crossworder will tell you that that's immediately what thinking. They're either thinking of an anagram of the word dull or the odd letters of the word dull. That seems to fit with the D here, doesn't it? With sprucest clothing. Well, the odd letters of the word dull would be 2 letters. So I need probably a comparative form, sprucest, so it's probably a word that ends est, isn't it? Clothing, my D and L. Smallest fitting into this construction. That must be tiddliest. So we've got tidiest for sprucest around the D and the L to give tiddliest. Let's try this one. Area covered by sign earlier in the year after loss of US tanks. Well, I'm helped very much by the starting letter here. I'm going to tell you this word means tanks. And when we read a cryptic crossword clue, it is very important not to read the words in the clue in their natural context. So if we read this clue, it's clearly trying to make us think of some sort of military situation. But tanks has many meanings, many of which are nothing to do with the military. And here we need to think of it in terms of fish tanks. And if we were to replace the word tanks here with fish tanks, everyone would solve this clue very quickly. Aquaria must be the answer. But we're put off because the compiler is clever enough to make us read the clue incorrectly. So how does this work? Area covered, well, area can be abbreviated to A, and that's this A that's highlighted actually. An area is being covered, so on top of this A we need to put a sign. Now this is a sign of the zodiac, Aquarius, from earlier in the year. I can't remember, is Aquarius the first sign of the zodiac from January? I'm not sure, but obviously Aquarius has lost its U and S, loss of US, and that gives us Aquaria, which is the answer. So this looks like Solaria or something like that. 4 down there. Squad's days in custody. Days is an interesting one. Days can be abbreviated. Day can be abbreviated to D, but so can days. And sometimes you might even see days being 2 abbreviations of the word day. So you could even have double D. Might make caddy a possibility here. Squad. Oh no, okay. Cadra, I think is the answer. That's how I say that word anyway. So days is this D. In custody, in a 4-letter word for custody, well, that word is care. And now this looks like splurge, maybe? 11 across. Lash out. Well, splurge would mean lash out, so that looks good. Catching end of trowel. Well, what's the last letter of the word trowel? It's this L. And that's being put in a 6-letter word for a shrub. Spurge is a shrub, not an easy shrub, but it is one, so I think the answer there is splurge. Now, if I have a quick look at this top left, I see this Q here. I'm already thinking maybe it's a pangram. Often the harder puzzles, the compilers like to do things like that, so don't be surprised if we find a Z in this puzzle. Right, this one, 3-5. Never mind what landlords do unaided. Okay, a nice clue. So we need a 3-letter word for what landlords do, a 5-letter word which means unaided, and we're going to put those 2 words together and we'll get an expression which means never mind. And the answer is therefore let alone. Let's try that one. Previously keeping mum about gunners getting shot. And again, okay, well I've got this one, but it's because I read the clue sort of correctly in the sense that I ignore the context. Again, this is some sort of war context where gunners are getting shot. When I read getting shot, I'm thinking of a shot in terms of a picture. If you're getting shot, as in you're being filmed, you are on camera. So that is it. That's instantly how I read this clue. And this is just practice. It's not taking words in accordance with their meaning of the sentence, but being able to read them in pieces. I think being good at Times crosswords is quite, if you have quite a mathematical brain, it helps you, because you can read the clues as equations, basically, you know, x plus y equals z, or, you know, z equals a minus b, or something like that, or a around b, or something like, again. So previously here is once, O-N-C-E, keeping mum about. Well, mum is ma. Your ma is an abbreviation, that's a shortened form of mum, as in your mother. So ma is about, in the middle of once, on top of gunners, the Royal Artillery, abbreviated to RA. Now, any sort of soldier in a crossword has about probably not joking, about 20 abbreviations, all of which you have to gradually learn. So RA, RE, TA, I don't know, all sorts of things. It's just, that is one of the, I suppose, the barriers to entry. Let's look at this one. Chance to thrive when king leaves court. There's a few different ways of reading this clue, so it might not be the best clue to go to. So I'll tell you some of the ways I'm thinking about reading this. So chance to thrive, if I can think of a word that means chance to thrive, and then I can take an abbreviation for king out of that. Now the problem with king is it has the abbreviation K from chess. For king moves in chess, that's how you would write, you know, king to e7 would be KE7. But king can also be abbreviated to R, as in Rex. So there's a couple of ways of abbreviating it, and it could even mean king as in one of the old British kings, like GR, you know, for a King George. So king, few possibilities. It could also be, though, it could mean chance, and then to thrive when king leaves, followed by court. Now court can be CT. That would give us a CT at the end there. Ah, that is right. This, I've got this now. This does mean chance. The answer is prospect. So how does this work? Well, it's prosper for thrive without the R, followed by an abbreviation for court. So now this should be doable now. 314 beginning with C and T. Edit, we cut, punctuation a little, to impress with one's style. To cut a dash. So if you edit punctuation a little, you would cut a dash in a sort of cryptic sense. And obviously impress with one's style is cut a dash. 21 down. Old coins from, well, now this is interesting. Old coins, 7 letters beginning with D. Now, I suspect experienced cruciverbalists are already thinking of an answer here. If you're new to the Times crossword, you will not believe what I'm about to write in here. I don't know if it's right. Denarii, the plural of denarius. I think they're old Roman coins, aren't they? Might be showing my ignorance there. Maybe Greek coins. I don't know. But 21 down. How does this work then? Asian land turned up. Well, that's Iran reversed in heart of Madeira. Well, if you look at the 3 central letters of the 7-letter word Madeira, we get D, E, and I. So we've got D, E, and I around the reversal of Iran. And Denarii is the answer we were looking for. Seizure and doctor's initial effort to stop it. Don't know that. Let's try this one, beginning with a line ending in M. Top quality type of UK bond of no interest. Now, this is an interesting clue. I don't know the answer to it, but this is an example. I used to work in finance, and it is of no help to me when I look at a clue like this, because when I see top quality type of UK bond, I'm thinking of gilts, AAAs, you know. I'm trying to use my knowledge of the world to solve the clue, and that's almost certainly not going to be helpful. So it's like if you really love a sport and you see a clue that ostensibly is about golf or cricket, and you think, I can do this one because I know about the subject matter, but quite probably it will just mislead you. Sly boots told to go before sneaking back inside. No, I don't know that. I'm running out of... Got an H in this one though. Dying artist injured outside hotel. I have got this one. That surprised me. So it's not too difficult with a bit of practice to know which the definition is here. Let me explain why. We always know that the definition is, well, we almost always can be sure the definition is at the start of a clue or the end of a clue in a cryptic crossword. So here we're looking at the 2 possibilities, which would be dying or hotel. Of course, it could be dying artist, but that just doesn't seem very likely. Outside hotel doesn't really, I can't think of any synonyms for those things. So we're almost certainly looking at dying or hotel. But if we read the clue, remember that words that indicate position or shuffling or redistribution or plus and minus, these types of words are indicative of wordplay. And here we've got the word outside hotel. So that suggests we need to put something outside a word or an abbreviation for hotel. Now, hotel, if you know your radio alphabet, you'll know that hotel, I think, is the abbreviation or the word used for H. So outside hotel is very suggestive of this H here. So what does the rest of it mean? Well, here there was a choice, artist injured. Artist can be abbreviated to RA a lot of the time, in the Royal Academy or Royal Academy Edition. I can never say that word, but you know what I mean. Injured, obviously that has a number of short synonyms, one of which would be harmed or marred or hurt, or but artist is 6 letters. And if we injure the word artist, we could just be looking at an anagram of that, and I think that's right here. If you're dying, you're athirst, you're desperate, so I think athirst is the answer there. I'm sorry to labour that, but I mean, for some of you who are newer to this, it is important that you appreciate that there are ways to read these clues if you have enough practice. 5 across, slips as one runs away from beasts on the savannah. Don't know. That one. 3rd ball struck regularly, moving due to gravity. Ah, okay. And again, here this does seem to be about cricket, doesn't it? And it's actually not at all to do with cricket. It's a very clever wording. 3rd ball struck regularly. I'm going to tell you that is all wordplay. We need to read that cleverly or cryptically in order to understand it. 5-letter word meaning moving due to gravity. Don't think of it in the sense of a ball moving due to gravity. That will not help you. We need to think of the word tidal here. And see if you can work out why. The answer is if we look at the regular letters of the expression 3rd ball, T-I-D-A-L appear regularly within those 2 words. So if we strike letters regularly out of this expression, we take the even letters out, we would get the word tidal. It's very clever, isn't it? Let's try that one. Journalist put away, passing through arch with dignity. Ah, okay. So, journalist, if you see the word journalist, always think of the word ed, shortened form of editor. Put away, always think of ate. If you put away something, you eat it. So I'm thinking immediately of putting that in the middle of this, something that means arch. 3-letter word for arch. Again, we have to read the clue carefully. If you read the clue, it's suggesting you're passing under an archway. But arch can mean sly. So if I take the common synonyms for the 3 parts of this wordplay, this would be a very quick write-in for an experienced solver. And again, I'm just trying to hammer home the fact this is simply practice. This is nothing, there is nothing clever about what I've done there. It's just experience. And sedately, I know it's a word, and of course it means with dignity. So, yeah, just practice. Basic material to lie on. Do you know what to lie on? Don't know. This one looks doable now, though. So sly boots could be a serpent. Yes, okay. So, told to go, if you're told to go, you're sent. And sneaking back inside, we need to put a word that means before. And I think we're looking at the prefix here, so pre means before. So if we reverse pre in sent, we get serpent, which is sly boots. Ah, okay, that's good. So basic material here is the definition. And then we need a 3-letter word meaning to lie, not too difficult, followed by a 2-letter abbreviation or word that means on. If something is on something, it is re-it. Fib on top of that for lie gives fibre, which of course is basic material. So now, trying to think of words that fit this construct. Ah, gaffs, of course. Ah, yeah, nice clue. So slips, of course, gaffs as in errors. One runs, well, one can be abbreviated to an I, as in the Roman numeral for the number 1. Runs in cricket, you often see abbreviated to R. So I need to take I and R away from beasts on the savannah. Well, they are the giraffes. So remove IR from giraffes, you get gaffs. Let's do this one. Oh, I looked at this one before. I didn't get it. Seizure. Distraint means seizure. Yes, that's right, isn't it? So doctor's initial is the initial letter of the word doctor. That's a D. That's that D there. Effort. Effort is strain. And effort is stopping, i.e. it's inside of the word it. IT there around the outside. That gives us distraint, which is the answer. Let's try that one. What Carmen did with Melody returning her drink? ? Very clever clue. What did Carmen do with a melody? Well, Carmen was a singer, obviously. She sang an air. So what Carmen did is she sang an air, but the melody is returning. The air part of this is going backwards, and that gives us sangria, which of course is a Spanish drink. So very clever. That's why the word her is in the clue. Of course, it could just be returning drink, but the compiler notices that sangria and Carmen sort of come from the same part of the world, so uses her drink to indicate that. Very nice clue. Languorous animal. Assigned position close to hearth. Well, okay. Now, did you see how I read that clue? I think most people would read these words as close to hearth, because that's the natural way of reading this clue if you read it as a sentence. But when I read it, I read close to hearth, because I want to look at the closing letter of the word hearth, and that is an H. Now, all of a sudden, this therefore is much easier. I mean, even if you don't know what the word languorous means, can you think of a creature, an animal, that would fit this construction? Well, sloth looks like a good one, doesn't it? So an assigned position is a slot, and then close to hearth is the H. And that gives us the answer we're looking for. Name after sprinkling initially in church service. Christen? Ah, now this is an interesting clue. Yes, it is an interesting clue. So I said earlier on that almost always in a cryptic crossword the clue is either at the definition or the end of the clue. Here we have the very rare exception to this, where the whole clue acts as the definition, and the whole clue, believe it or not, also acts as wordplay. So if we read this, name after sprinkling initially in church service, that could very well define the word christen. If you name somebody, you christen them in a church service. But if we read this carefully, this also operates in the sense of wordplay. Name can be abbreviated to N. A name is after sprinkling initially. Well, that's the initial letter of the word sprinkling. That's this S here. Is in church. CH can be abbreviation for church. And a service is a rite. RITE. So S goes in church rite and is followed by N for name. Beautiful clue. Let's try that one. Glass of beer, fortified drink from south in trade terms. I don't know that yet, but just one way I read this, in trade terms, the term of something is the finish of it, as in the terminus. So I certainly am conscious that I could be looking at the finishing letters of at least the words in and trade here. From south could mean reverse the E and the N. So can I think of a fortified drink, 4 letters with an A, with the whole thing being a glass of beer? Fortified drink, 4 letters, the only thing I really think of is port, to be honest, but there's probably many others. Let's try that one. Transporter, one in particular. Well, this is there's always one of these in a Times crossword. In every Times crossword there is a hidden answer, which just appears in order inside a word. Sometimes it can be reversed in a word or reversed in 2 words. So a transporter is an artic, as in an articulated lorry. And if we look inside, it has to tell you, that it can't just hide the word without directing you to the fact it is a hidden clue. Here the word in is telling you that we need to look in the word particular, and there you can see spelt out the word artic. Overused, beginning with C, 7 letters. Well, that's going to be cliched, isn't it? Let's see why. Noun dropped by secure. Editor, we've already seen journalist for ED. Here we see editor for ED. Noun can be abbreviated to N, and that's dropped from clinch here. If you secure something, you clinch it. So that's the answer, I'm sure. Let's have a look at this one. Available workers brandishing weapon in masculine style. Weapon might be an arrow. I would give a W in that one. Let's just check this. Exterior protection especially designed to be hard wearing. Well, that could be weather something. Weather. Is that an anagram? I think it is. Especially designed, I think, is saying anagram. The letters of to be hard wearing. That is 15 letters. I can see it does contain weather. Weather. It's got a B in it. Weatherboarding. Weatherboarding. That is something you do to protect the exterior of your house, isn't it? So weatherboarding. Brilliant anagram. Because it read so naturally. Designed to be hard wearing. I mean, that's just beautiful phrasing, and it's staggering that that's an anagram. Wow. That gives me a G here in my glass of beer. I was thinking flagon for a moment, but that would make sangria wrong. No, I'm totally misleading you. Sorry. My whole thought about trade terms here is not right. In fact, trade terms is the definition. A glass of beer, you have a jar. And then a fortified drink is nog, as in eggnog, and that's from the south, so we reverse it, and trade terms are jargon. Now, is arrows right? That would give us an R here, so top quality type of UK bond of no interest. Ooh, don't like that very much. Maybe arrow's not right. Okay, no, hang on, this could be premium, as in a premium bond. So I think this is a double definition. I think this is top quality is defining premium, but also obviously a premium bond is a type of UK bond that doesn't bear interest. I think that's probably correct, because the type of prize you get from a premium bond is not interest. You don't get 3% interest from a premium bond. You get 20 quid every 600 years if you're lucky. So On reflection, cut written work for assessments. Well, assessments are exams. Yeah, okay, that's right, because that's going to be, on reflection, cut is saying reverse a three-letter word, which means cut. That's axe. Written work, believe it or not, is manuscript. This does come up occasionally, MS for manuscript. It's not easy, and I fully appreciate that will be difficult to understand, but it is something you see. So, and exams obviously are assessments. So, team of engineers apparently to stay. To stay is to, yeah, to stay is to reside. A team of engineers apparently is saying a side of REs. Now, RE is an abbreviation for Royal Engineers. So that is, so it's saying a team of engineers apparently is an RE side, which is, again, it's a bit, this clue, if it reversed, it would definitely have a question mark at the end. But because the definition is to stay, the compiler's got away without it. So if this was to stay team of engineers apparently, or something like that, then there would certainly be a question mark, because it is very punny in nature. So we're left with this one, which looks like manpower. Now, why is that right? Available workers, well, that's manpower. Brandishing weapon. Ah, good lord, it's brandishing is being used in an anagram indicator here. So WEAPON. So it's an anagram of weapon in masculine style. Ah, Mr. That's how you might address a man, a masculine style MR there around the outside. So I think this is what I'd submit. Let's put it in, see if it's right. And it is. So that's how to do the Times crossword today. Lovely puzzle, as so often on Fridays, and might be a pangram. I can see a Q, I can see a J, I can see an X. Is there a Z in there? Not sure. I'll leave that as an exercise for you guys. Thanks very much for watching. If you do enjoy the content, please subscribe. Any of you in a position to sponsor us on Patreon, we really appreciate that. And we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.